Today on Treasure Hunting America, we'll look for gold in the California mother lode.
The miners left behind is much gold, and probably is more still up there, deep in the ground, than was ever taken out.
Then we'll explore Golden Gate Park to find artifacts left by survivors of the 1906 San Francisco earthquake and fire.
We find coins from the 1800s to the early 1900s in that park.
And finally, we'll comb the beaches in Southern California for gold, silver, and ancient treasure.
Finding 12 or 15 gold rings in a day, it really is amazing. I sometimes don't believe it.
It is amazing. All coming up on Treasure Hunting America. Hello and welcome to this edition of Treasure Hunting America. I'm your host, Mark Hendricks. And over the next half hour, we're going to hear some amazing stories of everyday treasure hunters across the country, people who are turning up antiquities and vast caches from yesteryear. Perhaps the most famous of these treasure hunters is Jimmy Sierra. He's famous for the goat doctor and the Sierra hoard finds in Northern California, and he has a passion for this hobby like few others.
Well, I first got introduced to a metal detector when I was in the Korean War. We had minefields all around us, and I saw people using metal detectors to locate the mines and clear paths. And I thought, gee, that's pretty interesting. Came back to my job as in pharmacy and raised a family, 3 children, dogs, cats, the whole works. One day, I picked up the newspaper and saw a story about a fellow who found a gold coin 5 miles from where I was raised on a farm. So I called him up on the phone, and at first he was apprehensive, but he warmed up and told me which detector he bought and took me out and showed me how to use one, and that was the end of my pharmacy career. I started selling them in my pharmacy, and about 3 years later, I said, that's it. I'm just going to sell the pharmacy, start doing metal detecting full-time.
Just 2 years after retiring, Jimmy Sierra made a name for himself by hunting after a treasure legend called the Goat Doctor's Hoard.
On Halloween 1980, I think it was, I dug up a old Wells Fargo bag. It was rotted out with 2,200 silver coins, mostly silver dollars. And at the time, silver was very high. It was $48 an ounce. And so that was a valuable hoard. It was stolen from me within 2 months later. I missed not having it around to remind me of the excitement, because after I looked at it and showed people, it was exciting. But I went back the following Halloween and uncovered 2 more hoards. After I had done my job on most of the local parks and old playgrounds, I decided to go to greener pastures, and I headed for the mother lode, because on the West Coast, California particularly, that's where the history was. So I started by going to the old ghost towns, where there was not ghost towns, necessarily live towns, but old towns, and I found lots of old stuff. I've never thought of looking for gold. I was looking for what the gold miners left behind. When detectors got proficient enough to be able to eliminate mineralization, some adventurous soul decided they'd go look for gold nuggets, because he figured if there were gold nuggets found here, maybe he could find one. And lo and behold, it opened a whole gold rush. So I headed up to the mining country and really realized early on that the miners left behind is much gold, and probably is more still up there, deep in the ground, than was ever taken out. In fact, that's a fact. But they left behind a lot of gold because they didn't have metal detectors. Even the Chinese who mined were so thorough, couldn't see under the ground, and they couldn't see through mud. And I found a 20-pound piece of quartz with 2.5 pounds of gold in it. I think if a Chinese miner had his hands right on this rock, which had one hunk of gold about the size of a silver dollar sticking out of it, and it was so covered with mud he didn't even look. He threw it on the pile, luckily, and left it there for me. Some of this gold in streams that we've hunted are very small, because the water and rocks have beaten that gold to pieces, and it becomes gold dust. We're not going to run out of gold. There's plenty of gold if you have the energy and the interest and get to the main thing is get there before somebody else does. That's the key. Well, I've chosen to hunt today out on this creek with a little bit of water in it. This summer this will be bone dry, but it is a creek in the mother lode, the central mother lode, and used by the old 49ers, 1850s, 1849, and they pretty well cleared this creek out, as I understand it, right down to bedrock, and then worked the bedrock in from the center into the bank. Now, they left a lot of nuggets behind, as we know. No matter where we hunt, we're always going to find some gold that the old 49ers left behind. If I hear us, that's a good signal. Full 100%. This is a piece of bedrock, so it's a good place.
After finding a target, Jimmy uses his prospecting tools to dig up the ground for a closer look.
Let's see. Oh, it's in my cup already. First scoop, by golly. Let's check the hole. Sometimes there's... No, that's the target right there. Okay, let's see. A lot of muck in here. No sandy soil. Okay, get some of this. There we go. Now let's see. Never throw the rest of it away. It could be more than one target. That's what we got to go for. Still in my cup. Whoa. Up there, exposed right here. Here we go. It's got some mud in it, but it is a little guy. A little guy, five or 10 grains. It's a thick little guy. Here we are. Here we are. Nice little piece of placer gold. That's free gold. That's been river run for centuries. Broken out of quartz at some point in time in the millennium. And there she is. There it is.
When we return, Jimmy Sierra will share about finding Roman and Saxon artifacts from England's ancient past. Welcome back to Treasure Hunting America. I'm your host, Mark Hendricks. Jimmy Sierra has had a lot of success in finding lost treasure in California. Now he's expanded his horizons to find antiquities in England.
After having just about every adventure I can think of except go to Australia, I zeroed in on England, primarily because American history is tied to England right off the bat. And their history in England goes back over 2,000 years in coinage alone. And into the Celtic period, say 200 BC is just about the coinage. And Bronze Age, 1500 BC, I found a Bronze Age spearhead over there when I got going doing it. I decided on England because it's absolutely supported by the archaeological community for the most part. And we work with museums, and I have a partner over there. We decided to bring Americans over because I figured if I like it, it's so exciting to go into a field and find 2,000 years span of history in one field, because they all lived one civilization upon itself. The Romans were there for 400 years, so we find lots of Roman coins, Roman silver or Roman gold. We've only found 2 Roman gold coins. We dig about 7,000 pieces of metal, 1,700 pieces of artifact and coin over 300 years old. It is an extension of what we do here, with just like cake with all the frosting instead of just a little small cupcake.
This week's treasure legend takes us to the northern Oregon coast. In the late 1600s, a Spanish Empire's fleet offloaded precious cargo, jewels, and gold near the base of Neahkahnie Mountain, a 1,700-foot peak jutting from the Pacific Ocean. The legendary hoard is estimated to be worth more than $2 million. Over the last 100 years, treasure hunters from all over the world have combed the mountain with no luck. Rocks with strange drawings have been found, hinting at a possible treasure map, but no one has been able to interpret them. Some have spent their lives' fortunes looking for the treasure, but nothing has surfaced. Yet the folklore for this king's ransom continues to spur on excitement and mystery, a hoard just waiting to be found. Treasure hunting is not just for the pros. Some people, when they hear about gold or buried treasure, will immediately head for their metal detector and come to a field like this, or a beach, or old mine tailings, looking for riches. For others, though, the enjoyment comes in digging up a little bit of history. In 1906, a very tragic series of events took place in San Francisco. A great earthquake leveled the city. Any buildings left standing were soon consumed by a fire, which charred the city that remained. With more than 200,000 left homeless, Tent cities soon sprang up in parks and public squares, including the largest public land in San Francisco, Golden Gate Park. For months, people lived in makeshift residences as their city was being rebuilt. During their stay in the parks, they deposited tons of misplaced coins and jewelry into the soil. It has sat there just beneath the topsoil for decades, until the advent of metal detectors. Known as the Peninsula Treasure Hunter, Greg Mosini is a regular here at the park. Whether it's hunting near Dutch Windmill or the Big Wreck area, his years of experience in Golden Gate Park have yielded some great finds. Yet his interest in treasure hunting began in a very different environment.
I got started back in 1978. I was on duty in a marked police unit working for the city of San Carlos. We were on the lookout for a armed robbery suspect. I spotted the vehicle, gave chase. He ran into some bushes, and after he was finally taken into custody, I reached for my keys and I didn't have my keys.
Greg went to his local electronics store and bought a toy detector to find his keys. With little luck, he put the detector in his closet and forgot about treasure hunting until 2 years later, when his father-in-law from Australia called him up.
And he said, "Greg, we're having a gold rush. They found this huge nugget with a metal detector, and I want you to pick me up an American metal detector." And I purchased a white 6000D Series 1 after doing some research. That seemed to be the best way to go, and off I went to Australia.
The White's dealer told Greg to test the detector when arriving in Australia for at least 30 minutes before he went into the outback. Greg was very surprised at the difference between this professional detector and the toy one he'd used before.
And before I knew it, that 30 minutes became 3 hours, became like, 30 hours, and I go, this is one heck of a detector. I was finding old coins, wheatbacks and silver coins down deep. Nothing like that toy detector. So I got quickly very excited about the hobby, and when I came back to America, that's where I bought another White's for myself, and I got really into the hobby.
When we return, Greg will take us into Golden Gate Park to search for artifacts. He'll also share about competitive group hunting. Treasure Hunting America. We'll be right back. Golden Gate Park is a popular place to be on a sunny day in San Francisco, whether it's biking, walking the dog, sailing toy boats, taking a stroll with your honey, or resting your tired shell. This scenic environment is also conducive to treasure hunting. Today, Greg is trying out the Big Wreck area and strike silver.
This is one of these borderline targets. Now, it could be a bottle cap, and I'm not going to know until I plug it out. It did have a little bounce to it. Okay, unsuccessful. Let me double check it with my bullseye pinpointer. Still down there a little ways. Ooh, got it. Break the plug apart. It's there. I'm going to dump the rest in the hole. Oh, we got a silver war nickel. So Big Wreck scores silver.
Did you know that treasure hunting is not just a solo pastime anymore? The Peninsula Treasure Hunter, Greg Mosini, has found a way to turn his favorite pastime into a competitive sport.
Here in San Francisco Bay Area, we have several clubs, and periodically they'll have what they call competition hunts. These are timed hunts, usually about 30 to 40 minutes, and the idea is to go out there and get as many targets as you can. Sometimes they have what they call a deep competition hunt, where the grand prize is kind of deeper than a lot of the surface targets. Sometimes they have a marked penny hunt for prizes.
All in all, Greg is in this hobby to stay.
I can tell you that I've had a lot of hobbies that have come and gone, and metal detecting by far has been the most exciting. You never know what you're going to find in the next week. It's got health benefits of getting out in the open air. You found some interesting targets. That could be watches, pendants, coins. Whatever people have, they lose it, and they are waiting to be rescued and recovered before they oxidize out of existence.
Our next treasure hunter is Lance Rigg. He is one of Southern California's most successful beach hunters. Why? Well, usually he's up before daybreak, but he also takes a more scientific approach to his hunting technique.
I started metal detecting in 1978, and the first day I metal detected with the detector I got, I found 28 cents. And I was thrilled, and my wife was kind of disappointed. So the next day I went out, I got my first gold ring. Got me going, and I've been going ever since. Every time you go down there, people have lost stuff over the last, 200 years, and it's all there. We find all kinds of stuff on the beach. Guns, knives, watches, everything.
Did he say guns?
Finding a gun, it's somebody's done something bad with it or something, and you really don't want to keep those things. So we turn them into the police department, and they dispose of them.
Through the years, Lance has collected more than 1,200 gold rings, jewelry, gold and silver coins, belt buckles, old locks, and yes, even a few guns that were untraceable. In recent years, he's sold off most of his collection and taken vacations with his wife.
We took paid for a 2-month trip to Alaska with what I found on the beach. And my wife said, it didn't cost us anything for the trip. I said, yeah. I said, just my time and the physical part that I got to do on the beach, to dig all this stuff and then sell it and then use it, and we could enjoy it together, and it was wonderful. Yeah, I got a target here. Right in the rocks, like I thought. Oh, there it is. Look at that. Yeah, I don't know if it's real or not. Looks like a little gold bracelet. In the morning when I get up, I log on to this site with Scripps Institute of Oceanography, and that's the Coastal Data Information Program. And it gives me the north and south swell that's going to come onto the beach each day. And it tells me where I should hunt and the best chance to find a treasure. I also come up to this experimental coastal wave height forecast for Southern California. It gives me 3 days information, today, tomorrow, and the next day, as to height of waves in different areas of Southern California. Between this and the swell forecast, I can tell just about where I'm going to hunt, where I'll have the best chance of finding treasure. Oh, there's target right there. Okay. Oh, yeah, here it is. It's a quarter. This is how they come out of the ocean. It's been in the water a while. You can see the rust is coming off of it. We have to take these and clean them up in a rock tumbler with salt and vinegar, and it'll make it look shiny again, and we can put it back in circulation.
When we return, Lance will share his most special finds, and he'll explain what's the greatest reward to his treasure hunting.
This is one of the neatest treasures that I've found on the beach. It's a $50 gold coin, and when I found this, I was so excited. It's like, awesome. But along with this, I found 4 other pieces of gold, so I had 5 total in about an hour and a half. Another piece I found is a diamond watch. It's a Bon Mercier. It has 26 diamonds, and when I showed my wife, she came unglued. It's very nice. I also found this 1.5 carat marquise diamond that she wears. I found it 20 years ago. It's one of my best finds also. One day at the beach, I found 7 bangle bracelets. I was going along, and at about 14 inches, I got this target, and so I dug down and I got one, and I bent it with my sand scoop because I didn't know what it was, and I thought, oh wow, okay. So then I went along about 2 feet more and I got another target, and it was the same signal sound as the first one. I said, I'll bet I know what that is. And sure enough, in the end, I had 7 bangle bracelets.
Over the years, Pete's Tackle Shop has become a favorite hangout every morning for treasure hunters like Lance.
Well, it got to be a central meeting place for all the guys. And now, when somebody finds something, they come into the shop and they show everybody, and they don't have to advertise what they find or where they find it, but if they want to show it off, they have somebody there that will watch them, and it's cool.
This is really a beautiful ring. Where'd you find it?
South of Manhattan Pier.
About what street?
Around 10th.
10th Street?
Yeah.
On the top of the berm or in the wet?
In the wet.
In the wet.
Yeah.
You gonna go this afternoon?
I've got to work. Have at it.
You let me go?
It's all yours.
Thank you, man.
Each year, thousands of rings, just like this one, are lost on the beaches of America. Lance Rigg knows this, and he hunts for these with a vengeance. With more than 1,200 rings in his collection, Lance says his greatest thrill comes from reuniting a lost ring with its owner, even if it's been decades.
All of the items that we found, the jewelry that we can't return, that's ours, so to speak, finders keepers. To be able to go down there when someone's lost something and they got a real sour look on their face, and you find what they lost and give it back to them, the look on their face, it's amazing. It makes you feel so good. Things that we can't return, the jewelry that we found, you say, gee, who lost this? And you know, they really got to be heartbroken because they lost it. But to be able to give part of it back, that's cool. We really enjoy that. That's a special feeling that we have.
Thanks for joining us for this edition of Treasure Hunting America. And join us next time for more stories of everyday people who are turning up treasure all over the country. I'm your host, Mark Hendricks, and until next time, happy hunting. Treasure Hunting America is sponsored by White's Electronics, manufacturers of the world's finest metal detectors. For over 50 years, White's has been building metal detectors in the USA for treasure hunters around the world. For more information, visit their website or call the number on your screen.